Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. It's time already for a new moon reading. The time is just so fast. So I want to share the screen with you that you can see the dark moon reading that we have now. And I want to emphasize again here, remember what it means. Dark moon is when you do not see the moon. So when Western astrologers say new moon, it's actually wrong because the new moon is on the third day after the dark moon, the moment when you see the crescent of the new moon coming up. This is very important to differentiate because it has a complete different meaning. So the dark moon, when we cannot see the moon, is the time when you can see here the sun and the moon is in an exact conjunction. Now what we have here in the real star constellation is in Gemini. Now, Gemini has something to do with communication, and it has also something to do with polarity. We have Mercury, the ruler, that is the ruler of Gemini in Cancer. So we can see that the red lines and the orange lines that we have here all connected, that it's a very, very difficult situation. There's a lot of tension, a lot of information, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of emotions. Emotions are connected here when we go from the Cancer Mercury with the 1.5 square, which is a karmic aspect, to Neptune in Pisces. There is so much hidden. There has been so much hidden always. And now when this is coming to the surface, it is nearly impossible for us to comprehend. Now, I want to give you a sample. For example, our human body is created from Mother Earth, from the elements of Mother Earth, natural elements of Earth. And we are also, our digestive system is also programmed or built up to be able to digest certain things. Now, with all this artificial stuff that's coming into your life, our digestive system cannot absorb or digest things because it does not recognize it. So this is one problem that we have everywhere in the world that has something to do with obesity, that has something to do with illness in general, because when we eat food that our body cannot recognize as real food, and reject it and cannot absorb the nutrients out of it, we lack nutrients. Or for example, like too many other things we eat that are not good for us, the body doesn't know what to do with it. And so with too much carbs, too much sugar, whatever, it stores it and people get fat. Now the same is with our mind. The mind is also, we have been programmed for a very, very long time into believing that a certain history is what happened in the last couple 100,000 years or thousands of years on the earth. But now more and more information is coming up that this was not accurate either. So our mind that is programmed cannot absorb certain information that is not within that program. Now, the difficulty is especially for much younger people who still grew up in a much, much stronger mind control situation. And this was not any more we were still encouraged to be creative. We were still encouraged to do things our own way and to find out how to do it best. Today, when you look into schools, it's just everything you have to memorize, you have to learn how it is, and that's it. There is no questions, don't question anything. Whatever is in the book, whatever the teacher tells you, just believe it. And that's the big difference. So these people who are not open, and creativity means to be open to inspiration, open to intuition, open to new things, to look at them. But when they now with their new program, they are not open for inspiration anymore. And inspiration in spirit means that is a direct information from our spirit, in fact. And this is the best information we can ever get. But people are so much brainwashed, so much into a program they cannot receive. They cannot recognize anymore the language of inspiration. So it's in a way like our stomach, but the opposite way around. Our stomach cannot digest things that are artificial and it cannot recognize. The stomach cannot be programmed in that way as our mind. And this is the problem with the mind. This is what is the polarity within the mind, that we always have two poles to look at, good and bad, and positive and negative. And this is good when we grow, when we are challenged by inspiration, by intuition, when we are creative, innovative, we can create something. But people who are stuck on one pole only, and that is that receiving pole, in a way, we can say the feminine pole that is receiving the brainwash and is stuck there and does not have the spark and the power of intuition anymore. And then this one-sidedness does not allow anymore new information that are outside of this very, very narrow frame where they are stuck to get in. And this is what we have in the moment when you look at this triangle here going to the node. Generally, most humans are so much programmed that they cannot listen to inspiration anymore. That something maybe very tragic has to happen to them, that they will be open again to listen to something else. And this is why a lot of tragic things have to happen. And a lot of flooding of information is coming out. It's coming out really very fast and very intense right now, and it's very difficult for people to catch up. We have also here, like, see this is a small, the line here is just made it. That's what we call a finger of God aspect that is pointing towards Venus, coming from Pluto and Neptune. So this is also one sign that higher self is taking over, that a higher energy is playing a very important role in what is happening now from Pluto here and Sagittarius, to move beyond the boundaries that we've had and to go through this transformation process. And, you know, again, when we consider that the caterpillar literally dies in the cocoon before becoming a butterfly, it is like for many people that they go through kind of a death to in this time now. They have to let go of all what they've ever believed in, of everything what they held dear. Like just go back to a very simple thing about food. And I think the very best way to break habits is to change your food pattern, because this is a very it's very close to us, very dear to us. And if you have to let go for certain junk food or sugary food that you actually like very much, your taste buds like them very much because they are addictive stuff inside it. But your stomach and your digestive system cannot handle it. So we have the conflict here in the body. It's similar like the conflict in the mind. It's everything is always connected. So if you have the courage to start to change your diet, and don't even look into mainstream what is healthy and what is not, you have to learn to get back into contact with your body to figure out what is really good for you. There's a lot of information out there in the moment. You can find it everywhere, but more or less start to think about it in the terms of natural. The more food is processed, the worse it is for you. The more ingredients is inside, and when you buy some food, for example, and you look at the label, what is all in there? How can the body recognize this, all these many things inside? Like, for example, when I make a vegetable, I maybe use some onion, garlic, or some other herbs. I fry it in some coconut oil, like if I make fried vegetable. And then I add salt and pepper or some light soya sauce. And I also read labels that I don't have soya sauce, which have MSG and stuff inside. And then it's a very simple food. The more simple it is, the better it is. And be very, very careful also when you eat meat or fish that you get good quality meat and fish, and not that is already tempered with. I had lately in a restaurant, I was eating something that I didn't recognize the taste of this food. When I know what it tastes when it's natural, and when it was like this, I did not recognize the taste. So you can be careful, and you can find out where to buy your stuff. And of course, if you have a chance to grow your own food, you're even much more in a better situation. And one thing is also, when we look at that chart again, when there is so much tension, so much fire around it, we have to kind of a little bit lay low. Now, when we see that tidal wave of information coming in, we are overwhelmed and overpowered, and have to learn to take back our power. Everything is in question now with the retrograde Saturn opposite to Mars. It's like our energy, everything what we have believed, and energy in that way also connected to the food, we have to move like into a higher octave. Can you say that? Also a lot of supplements, for example, they cannot be digested. A lot of it is just wasted money. And some of you know I have recently started to take pearl powder a couple months, 2-3 months ago, and I can really, really not only see the difference in my skin, but also feel the difference, that I feel in a way stronger again, because pearl powder has all the minerals what we need, and that's a complete natural thing. And you can go, for example, I just sent a message out to my group today. There is eBay has very, very nice offers on, you can buy online. There's some places where you can buy it. They're very expensive. And I have tested different ones that are coming from the area of Asia, which are really very good and not that expensive. And it's really affordable, because you can throw away more or less all the other mineral supplements that you have. If you have, for example, Himalaya salt and pearl powder, that's more or less what you need. And if you eat fresh food every day, you should have also enough of the other vitamins that you need. And I think this is one of the most important things when we look at this constellation here. Also, Venus is connected with our body, to take the power back for our body and to ground it into maybe, yeah, what we have to find out again, what is good for us. And we have also, maybe you're familiar, there is a book about blood groups, that if you have A, B, or 0, the O blood group, they have also different needs. That makes sense, right? So start to inform yourself about things like this, because now with this information flood that has started a couple of months ago, and that will not stop, that will get worse. And there is a lot of confusion. So those who know kinesiology start to really test things if they are true or not. Don't pay much attention to all the political talk that's coming out, because there is, there's so much change. They say this, tomorrow they say that. What was really very powerful was the EU Parliament. I will put the link down in the description. That was that session a few days ago. That was very, 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 very powerful. And I really recommend you to watch that one. Let me just quickly see. I have Christine Anderson is one of those very, very brave ladies who were standing there and had And what she said was absolutely fantastic. I nearly had tears when I heard her. She was so passionate, and it's so beautiful what she said. This is the quote here. So we are here today to tell you, WHO Globalitarian misanthropist, instance, anthropist. Now she said that different. We are here today to tell you, you picked this fight. You want this fight. Well, guess what? You've got it. Let's fight, because these brave citizens, my colleagues and I, we will not tire to fight you every step of the way. We will bring you down, and we will not tire until we have done just that. So brace yourselves. We are here in the fight, and the fight is on. So let's have the fight. Let's commence with the fight. Why don't we? And there are millions and millions outside that are supporting us, millions all around the world. So it's really worth to watch that whole session they had. It's around 3 hours. But I tell you, each speech, and they're short, each speech is absolutely fantastic. And if you feel the energy, what is happening now, you see exactly what this chart actually means. That's exactly the point. That is this tension that coming up, the real fight, the fight from the heart, the real fight, the warrior. It's not just a war that somebody who has a lot of money gonna bombard another country. This is the fight of the heart, the fight of the people, the fight for freedom. And we all have to join it. There is no way around it. It doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter where you are, but we all are in this fight, even if it looks outside that we are not. But it is the fight of the freedom of the world, and that's what is connected with the end of a time where we at. And since we have survived the 2012, we are still here and still in this about 25 year of transition into the new paradigm. The old has to go. And this is all that is being exposed now. So I think for me personally, the easiest way is really to start to look physically for yourself now. Don't pay attention to all the propaganda and all the shit that's happening outside. If you're involved, if you are in a position, if you have something to say near government or any kind of authority, start to spread the word, start to stand up for the belief, start to stand up about the pandemic. Tell people, if you have a chance, to take off their mask if they're still wearing it, and stop poisoning them. And just be as gentle, as easy as you can, a warrior of peace. Now, with this here, see, we have Jupiter here down in Aries with Uranus, and the node is still just is in the first degree of Aries. So that means that everywhere is new beginning now. Now, in a way, you plant the seeds for our future, for your future, for our future. And remember, you are part of the hologram. If I change myself, I change the whole. So this is so important that we don't point that to leaders that are supposed to change the world. They will not be able. You have to change yourself. And it is so much about, like, when we have also Virgo here up here on the goal, what we have to reach. This is the clarity. See that Virgo is a sign of harvest. Now, if we are in this time where the chaff is separated from the wheat, and that's what we have to see. What do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Now you choose. And then the 11th, the 10th house here, it goes into 11 Libra, the balancing of everything that is. And we can do that easily ourselves, but nobody can do it for us. And I think it's so important to understand that again, not other people are changing our lives. Nobody else. We have to change it ourselves. See here from Mars and from Venus, we have both the two blue lines we have here are going to the node, which is also the node representing the people. And here we have from Neptune another trying to go to to the Sun and the Moon conjunction of the dark moon. So if we stop to try to judge and just accept, if we start to let our gut feeling, in that way it will be intuition. Inspiration is more connected with Uranus, intuition is connected with Neptune. So if we let that intuition bubble up, if we are still at a moment, and if we contemplate, look at the food that you have at home, look at it. And again, if you can, test it out with kinesiology, ask your body to tell you, is this really something which is good for me? Is this really something I should eat? And then start to separate things that you cannot eat, that are not good, and throw them away. Put them away if you still have in your shelves, and stop poisoning your body. And another thing is also, again, I said many times, start to watch out for good water. Test the water, test your water. There are many ways to testing water, because see, I have watched many videos about the cabal and what they want to do, and take over the complete power, transition us into half AI beings. And the main thing is that we don't have a soul anymore. We lose the soul, we lose the connection to the divine. And this is also happening with the whole 5G, 4G, 3G, doesn't matter which it was, it's still working to separate us with this negative electromagnetic frequency, because our body has a certain frequency. And the more we are bombarded with a frequency that is not our body, it changes the frequency of our body, because we are energetic beings. So it is very important to strengthen this energy, like walking barefoot, electroculture again, and all these things that we can do to keep our vibration high. And then because of this topic here with the MC and Virgo, the harvest, it is important that we are in a positive vibration. If we are in a negative vibration, we are drifting down towards illness, towards death. And the more we start to use natural things, walking barefoot, eating fresh food, and just anything that you have, the best is usually the local food that you have. You don't have to run away to find things that are good for you. But many things in the moment are not available everywhere. So sometimes we have to buy from different places, like when I was talking about the pearl powder before. So it is really now the time, with all these conflicts that we have that are coming into visibility, that we take back our power for ourselves and help us and our family, our children, our grandchildren, to stay healthy in ways maybe that we completely lost in the last 50 years or so. When I was young, we still had natural things. We still had a little garden. We still had many things and berries, and we still went to the forest to get some herbs and stuff out there that you might not be able anymore unless you live in a place where there's a lot of forests that are not cultivated. So there's the gist actually of this chart here, when I was contemplating it and looking at it, is we will have a lot of emotion in this time coming up. And these emotions are connected with the whole. It is even possible that you are not only living your own life right now, but also have taken over some karma from some ancestors, for example, and that you have to heal that to complete from your ancestor line, the karma, so you're free to move on. I don't think that this is something which is impossible, but I have, for example, a very symptom that I realized that my grandmother had that. And it came very sneaky in a way. I didn't realize it, but then I realized, and it was exactly also the same age as my grandmother was exactly, that it happened. And I realized, and I have done that before, that I had something from my family that I was able to heal from my family. So tune into when you have a symptom in your physical body and try to meditate about what the message is of that symptom. You can also, for example, before you go to bed, you can talk to your body and ask your body to give you information in dreams or whatever, even if it's not completely conscious, but you might be able to heal it for your whole ancestor line. I think there is much more going on in the moment than people even have an idea. And when we talk about the ascension process very often, and the whole ascension process, remember I showed some pictures some time ago that I look at the soul like a balloon, like you imagine a big balloon, and then the big balloon has little squeezed out bubbles everywhere, and the personality is like one of these little bubbles outside of the balloon. And when one personality dies, this bubble is kind of relieved back into the soul. So you, in fact, have access to every lifetime that is by your soul, but you have not been the other lives. So, for example, say on that balloon are 100 lives. So life number 1, it's just the very first experience, and once that personality dies, and the whole experience is going back into the soul. Then life number 2, the personality number 2 has already experienced from number 1, and so number 10 has experience from 1 to 9, but number 10 has never been number 1 or number 5 or any of them. And if you have 100, you can imagine that there's a lot of experience. And when you come here as a human being, and in the name of that soul, then you take on some unfinished business from other personalities to finish it, to kind of end your personal ancestor line here. But it is really important to understand you have never been that person who messed up or whatever did. So the whole thing about feeling guilty about karma is also a misinterpretation and is misleading people again into that whole topic we have so often of I'm not worthy, no, I'm not good enough, I'm a sinful person, whatever. And if we can let that go and see that I have come in this lifetime now, right now I'm here to finish that ascension path for my ancestor of my soul line, then you might have to finish some karma for other personalities. And you can often find that in the thread and in the line of your family, because it's also no coincidence what kind of family you're in, right? You have chosen to be here at that time. So this is the topics that we have to look at in the moment. I hope that can help you a little bit. And yeah, now the moon is going up, the next full moon in 2 weeks. We'll talk again. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you.